A few days ago, I set out to buy the cheapest motorcycle I could find within a 500-mile radius of my house to help prove that you don't need a lot of money to enjoy riding a motorcycle. And in my pursuit, I had 3 criteria. First, it has to have a title. There are plenty of cheap, sketchy, titleless bikes out there, but for this bike, I need it to be fully street legal because I cannot keep getting harassed by the cops on my way to your mom's house.
Nice.
Second, it has to run. I don't care how thrashed it is cosmetically, how shot the tires are, whatever, I'm fine with fixing that as we go, but it has to run because there's too many ran when parked bikes out there that for all I know will never actually run again, even if the seller says that it will, and to be honest, depending on what's wrong with it, I might not know enough to fix it. And third and probably most important, my girlfriend has to approve of the bike because we already have 7 bikes as is, and if I come home with another bike and it's one that she hates, there's a good chance I'm getting kicked out of the house, and your mom lives too far for me to ride there tonight. With my checklist in hand, I set off to find the cheapest bike I could find within 500 miles on CycleTrader.com. That would have been such a perfect spot for a CycleTrader ad, but it's not. I just usually rely on Facebook and Craigslist, and this time I figured I'd switch it up. But CycleTrader people, if you're watching this, have your people hit up my people? Maybe? As I was saying, I set out to find said bike, and I did. I bought it. It's right there, right now. You guys are gonna see it in just a second, but it's worth noting that in the process of trying to find said bike, I ran into quite the unexpected problem. More on that later, but first, let's see how I found the bike. All right, boys, I just accidentally sold the e-bike, which is a story for another time, but that means that I have some cash burning a hole in my pocket now, and I think I came up with a crazy idea of what we can do with it. I'm gonna buy the cheapest bike that I can find within a 500-mile radius. What could go wrong? All right, so we'll hop on CycleTrader, we'll do a 500-mile radius and search, and 63, almost 64,000 motorcycles popped up. So let's go ahead and filter out any dealers because obviously they're not going to have the cheap bikes, and that brings us down to 2,500. We're doing better. Now we'll sort by lowest price and see what we find. 120 bucks for a 2004 Concourse 1000. That sounds too good to be true, and the description says sold. Then we got 122 for a 2016 Road Glide Ultra. Yeah, doubt it. Yeah, $14,000. Assuming that 125 is the same, assuming that 130 is the same. Oh, here's one. 550 for a 1982 Honda Nighthawk. Let's see what it says. Rare bike, good for project or parts. Bike is complete. Had bike running a year ago. Okay, well, that doesn't meet our criteria. What's next? 600 bucks for a trailer. That's not what I need. And then, oh, wait a second. And that's when I saw it. A $700 Beacon of Hope, only 123 miles from home. It's perfect. It's a 2000 Suzuki Intruder 1400, my first V-twin. Isn't she a beaut, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the channel. Our new 2000 Suzuki Intruder 1400 that we got for only 700 bucks. But like I said, there is a pretty big problem that I was not expecting when I planned this out. We'll get to that in a second. First, let's take a closer look at this thing. As you can see, she's pretty much as clean as they come for the age. For a 25-year-old bike, I gotta say, she's legitimately at least twice as clean as half of the bikes that I own. The paint job on this bike is super sick. It's like this two-tone copper with the black on top, but then if you look close, there's almost like a blue-purple chromatic like pinstripe separating everything. Hopefully it's showing through well, but like in some light it's blue, in some light it's purple, in every light it looks amazing. And the previous owner said that there was actually a blemish on the tank right here, and he went to like scuff it up a little bit to do some touch-up paint, went a little bit too far, and that's when he realized that through the black you can actually see the copper, and then he went through that for like a rustic look for the bare metal there. Personally, I think it looks super sick. It's not something that I would do to my bike myself, but I feel like it just fits the vibe so well. Definitely gonna leave that, maybe put some clear coat over top of that to seal it in. I don't want to get ahead of myself in this video, but I am considering doing like a chopper-ish vibe to this thing, and I feel like the cross staying there and looking that rugged would just, I don't know, fit the vibes really well. And speaking of fitting the chopper-ish vibes really well, check out how sick these seat covers and the backrest are, and you even have the matching studs over here on this bag back here, and these kind of match as well. Now the previous owner, Scott, shout out Scott, he is the man. We got along really well. Pretty sure he subscribed now as well, but any modification that you see on here, he did, including what I was just talking about, these kind of like old school buttons here. And he said that these are actually the stock seats, and then these are actually just Mustang covers. So apparently Mustang makes a seat for these bikes, but they also just sell the covers. So it's the stock seats underneath it, although I gotta say they are really comfy. Apparently this bottom part up to here is the stock sissy bar, and then he found some sort of extension right here to make it taller. Spoiler alert, I already took Nina for a quick ride around our garage parking lot, and she said that that back seat with that tall sissy bar is like sensational.
Sensational.
Her exact words were, "That's the kind of seat I could fall asleep on during a ride." And like I said, this bike is my first V-twin. This thing sounds so mean with these Vance and Hines pipes that he put on here. Not only do they sound great, but he actually did kind of like a brushed nickel finish on these. You can see the chrome like heat shield or whatever here, and apparently the entire exhaust used to be just like that, and then he came through and did this like sanded brushed nickel look on it, which I really, really like. It's like nice and light, but also more subdued than the chrome, so I really dig that. And also, it's probably hard to tell, but it like kind of ties in well with the copper that's on the bike, you know? These saddlebags are made by Saddlemen, and Scott actually did some custom brackets on these to hold them on. It's going to be impossible to show you guys in here with this lighting, but these were originally throw-over saddlebags, I believe he said, and then he added these brackets and then these little hooks right there, which you guys cannot see. And then on the inside, these three knobs just unscrew if you need to pop the saddlebags off. Super smart. He also did a turn signal relocation back here, because in the stock form, these turn signals mount up right here, so you can't open the saddlebags. So he did something to move them down here, which looks really clean. Up on the instrument cluster, you can see this bad boy has under 23,000 miles, which is less than 1,000 miles per year. This thing is a baby. And he also made this little shield right here to shield the lights for the turn signal so you can see them in the sun better. Did kind of the brushed nickel look on all of the hand controls here as well, and then took a Dremel to put the different signs back on since they got sanded off and filled it in with paint. I love that. Matches the brushed nickel look of the exhaust and also fits the chopper vibes in my opinion. We got some big old forward controls on this bad boy that he installed, and then also made these plates for himself. Apparently the way that these forward controls come, there's no plate here, and he was saying that your foot would kind of like, I don't know, just kind of float around and go in there. And I can already say from the little amount of riding that I've done on this thing so far, I can already see exactly what he means. My foot rests right up against this little plate right here, and it's perfect. Now, obviously, you guys know if you've watched the channel before, I am not much of a forward control guy. I am mid controls all day, so it has been taking some getting used to. Whoa, stood up too fast, don't pass out. Whew. But yeah, the forward controls are definitely taking some getting used to, so TBD whether or not they stay on. Another concern of mine is that Nina has mentioned that she wants to spend some time. Wait, I can't give that away yet. I've already said she said good things about it. That's one of the 3 checklist items. If Nina, you know, likes the bike and ever wants to ride it, then she would probably have some issues with the forward controls. I believe they move it about 6 inches further forward, or actually that looks like a good 9 inches, right guys?
Yeah, boy.
So needless to say, for her little 5'2 3/4" or whatever precise thing she says, that would probably be an issue for her. So TBD on those, but honestly, I hope it ends up working out for both of us either way, because from looking at these, it looks like they're kind of a pain in the ass to get back off. Looks like you got to take off the exhaust and some other tomfoolery. So yeah, I'd really like to leave them on if at all possible. He had this custom "In God We Trust" emblem thrown on the front to tie in with the crosses. Once again, not something that I would personally put on my bike, but I think I'm really rocking with it if I'm being honest. And then also up here, he went ahead and polished the fork lowers, which looks incredible. As you can see, it's pretty much brand new tires on the front, as well as the, well, you can't see it past the saddlebag, but as well as the rear. Now, these are not the Cruise Tech tires that Nina and I both run on our Rebels. However, they are Metzler tires, and one of them was put on, and I think he said 2019, the other one put on in 2021, and there's like, I think 2,000 miles or less on both of the tires, which is awesome. And I could not have bought from a more trustworthy guy, because you can see there's a little ding right there, a tiny tiny ding right there. And then you wouldn't even notice it at first, but the right turn signal is cracked and he has some electrical tape wrapped around it to hold that together. The previous owner before him did that, but even with the electrical tape, it just looks just like the stock one. So for him to point out things like that I probably honestly wouldn't even have noticed until weeks into my ownership, that's how you know you're buying from a trustworthy seller and you know you're getting a solid bike. I couldn't be more happy. Which probably has you wondering, but Birch, I thought you said there was some big problem that you didn't expect going into this. What is it? Well, that did make me realize actually, he did also mention that he thinks the clutch slips some between second and third gear, so I will have to keep an eye on that. But if I'm being honest, when I took it on the test drive, I really didn't notice much of a clutch slip at all. And even I think I've put, looks like about 25 miles on it since then. I still haven't noticed much of any clutch slipping, but it's funny because when I told him about it and the fact that I really didn't notice it at all, he said, oh, well, just wait till you get on it hard. You know, you probably didn't get on it hard enough. So like, you know, it's just great to find somebody that is so honest to where I'm like, yeah, I didn't notice it. They're like, oh, but you will. That's why I'm telling you about it, you know? So that's something to keep an eye on with this thing, but I already looked it up and it looks like clutch kits can be found for under $100, and especially with the forward controls on here and being more out of the way, it should be easy enough to pop this cover off and swap out the clutch, which I've never done before, but if you're gonna learn, it might as well be on a $700 bike, right? But that is still not the big problem that I was talking about. So what is it? If I'm being totally honest, the big problem that I was talking about is that this bike is too nice. It's too perfect. When I set out to do this video about finding the cheapest running bike within 500 miles of my house, I honestly expected it to be able to be a series where we like take this bike and fix it up, make it look nicer, throw new tires on, new brakes, whatever. But this thing is dialed. I was expecting to find a shit box, but to find something this nice for $700 is crazy. Now, I will say I've already noticed that it's not exactly perfect for the kind of riding that I do. You guys know I like to just kind of like chug through downtown or whatever, so obviously the gearing isn't quite great for that. But man, I tell you, I have never been on a bike that so badly makes me want to just... I think I get it now. Ow, I think I finally get it. And when I say I finally get it, what I mean is I think I finally get the whole V-twin thing. There's just something about, well, we'll get to that in a second. First, we have to run through our checklist to make sure that we did everything that we set out to do. So we set out to find the cheapest running bike within a 500-mile radius on Cycle Trader, and objectively, we did that. Not only did we do that, it is way more than I ever could have hoped or bargained for. It's incredible. But the checklist, did we complete it? First, it needed to have a title, and yeah, it has a title. I even got the plates for it today. Second is that it has to run. I already covered that. Yeah, it runs, and not only that, it runs great. But the third and final and most important checklist item was that my girlfriend has to approve of it, so I'm not sleeping at your mom's house tonight. And as for that, I'll let the footage do the talking.
You look really cool. This bike fits you so well. It's so cool.
12 seconds later.
I love it.
Give her a little baby rev. So you approve? Now back to what I was saying about the fact that I finally get it. This bike has awoken something in me, I think. I finally get the V-twin thing. I've ridden Harleys before, but they've all been like newer Harleys, you know, like the Lowrider S, Road Glides, things like that. This is the oldest V-twin that I've ever ridden and the only V-twin that I've ever owned. And I think I finally get it, you know? There's just something about the raw ruggedness of it. Like, it shakes you half to death, but that's the best part. It's not fast by anybody's standards, but I'll be damned if it doesn't pull like a freight train. I don't know if I look as badass as I feel, but I feel like I look badass just going around on my hog, you know, just whoop, blah, 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 blah. It's a vibe. I get it now. I get it. Shout out to the Patreon members for making all of this possible, and shout out to a $700 unlikely find that opened my eyes to the beauty of V-twins.
Oh, so basic. Hope you play this. Damn, I prayed it. Nice song, and I became this. Old souls faking. Paid those placements. Hey, and I'm still waiting on the brighter days. Been a minute, been rough many times more. And I'm kicking rocks to a sky of gray. Praying hard, talk to me before I'm done for.
Son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch.